Welcome, welcome everyone. This is our very first yoga and business monthly conversation about money and mutually empowering relationships that we are having on the new moon as a way to develop this conversation around how we create a life that feels truly aligned with who we are and what our purpose is and what that can look like and how we can inspire and support each other. So we're going to have some wonderful conversation with some friends. But I just wanted to begin with a quote here. This quote by Henry David Thoreau. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. So the intention of this class is to talk about what yoga is, all right, and also how we do it, and also what business is and what it means to be in business. I was reflecting on how many people refer to their business as their occupation, and how when we look at the word occupation, I think of the word occupy and how we occupy something, a territory, a space, and how we take up space. So I looked up some definitions, and it says that the noun of a occupation is a person's usual or principal work or business, especially as a means of earning a living or vacation or vocation. Okay, and then other words for the word business are company, which company can mean who is the company that you keep, and also what is your concern, what are the things that you are focused on, what is your enterprise, what is your project. Okay, these are all directly things from the dictionary that I'm quoting, and it says the words that are here to describe the structure and shape, establishment, firm, house, interest, outfit, right? So when I think about this conversation of yoga and business, a lot of what I'm wanting us to bring forward here is how the conversations around what we're doing for our occupation is coming from this place of union within ourselves, this union of being connected to our own source. So we're going to talk about the Yoga Sutras first. What is yoga? How we do it? I'm going to give you a very simplified version of that from my teachers. Then we're going to have some conversation. I want to introduce you to a few of my friends who are joining us here today, which I'm very excited about. And then we're going to ask some reflection questions. And we're going to talk a little bit about what is your chosen direction? What are your top strengths? And how are you using those to integrate your business and your life? And then I want to leave you with just some very simple rituals to support your chosen direction in your daily life as this integrated best business practice. So what are the Yoga Sutras, just for a moment? So if you have no yoga background, you can understand they're considered by many to be like the Yoga Bible. And my teacher's teacher said that of the hundreds and hundreds of sutras that are there, the slokas that are there, that the first 5 sutras really give us everything we really need to understand what yoga is, and specifically what to do to practice it. And they said that the rest of the Yoga Sutras are really just commentary on those. So I have been focused on these 5 sutras for a couple decades now, really. And I'm going to talk about how these sutras will be applicable to your own personal strengths. So first, the sutras. And if you want to get an oil or anything, an object maybe that you're working with, crystal, flower, touch the earth, maybe take a moment, just receive what these are. And then we'll go back and we'll talk about them perhaps a little more in depth. So the first Yoga Sutra is, yoga begins now, auspiciously. The second, yoga is to move with continuity in your chosen direction. The third, if you do this, you will be completely successful. And the fourth, if you do not, all will fail. And then 2.1, yoga is to stoke your inner fire and have some discipline. It is to study oneself and to be aware of one's feelings and sensations. And then it is to give over control of everything, meaning that you surrender to whatever you believe in, even if that's nothing at all. It could just be the ground beneath you right now. And then from that place, you take appropriate action. So screenshot that if that's helpful. We will come back to it again, perhaps. Where that leaves us, though, in terms of taking appropriate action, is that you learn to really do whatever your personal practice looks like and allow what you really feel in your own life to come forward as this manifestation of all that you are, all that you've come from, all that you desire in your life. And you do that which you can do, which is known as your sadhana. And your sadhana is your daily practice, that little thing that you do to take that step in that continual direction that you've chosen to focus on with continuity. And that is what your yoga is. Okay? So that process of doing your yoga, of taking the action that you can continuously in the direction of your choice. The direction of your choice is what only you know is alive in your heart. And knowing what's alive in your heart is often the first step, right? So that's why having a daily practice, which I call your yoga, that is that connection that when practiced, it does reveal your latent gifts and talents. And over time, as you focus on these latent gifts and talents and everything that is really held in your heart, you make that manifest. You make that real. And that happens with anyone who's ever achieved anything great. It didn't happen overnight. It happens because they stayed focused on it and they believed it was possible, probably when everyone else told them that they couldn't. Right? So my hope for this conversation is that we take those principles and we support each person in bringing forward their latent gifts and their talents so that they can show up in the world in as big a way as they possibly can, because I believe in all my heart that this is what we are meant to do. I think this is our greatest purpose for each individual. And it can be simple. It does not have to be anything dramatic. Being a magnificent mother or friend or neighbor, can reveal these powerful gifts and talents that we have. And I promise us all that whatever that looks like for us, you have business around that. That business is what you're meant to do, right? And that business has value. You are gifted in those things. That business has worth. You are allowed to be here to shine and be received and acknowledged in that. And I think you even have a responsibility to do that. I think that is all of our responsibility. So one of the things that I've used in my work, and I think some of us are familiar with these, are things called the Strengths Finder. And this is great. My friend Steve's coming on here now. The Strengths Finder is something that I've used in my own work and with a lot of the wonderful people that I've been in relationship in business through mentoring, both as a mentor and as a mentee. We have used the power of understanding our natural strengths and applied them to our lives as a way to really create a focus. So I just wanted to share this little bit about me, and then Steve, I'm going to ask you to come back off mute in just a second. So for me, what I learned about my greatest strength is something that sounds rather ridiculous. It's called being a woo. And it stands for win others over, but it is a little bit like woo woo, right? And that's cool. But the deeper thing that I learned is that I'm not just a cheerleader for people. I've realized that my greatest superpower in life is that I really love people and believe in their pure potentiality. I believe that people can do anything that they want. And for me to realize that my greatest superpower is in just having this conversation with you. And that's what I've been doing now for years and years, is I've been having this conversation one-on-one with people. And in fact, my other friend that I'm going to introduce you to in a few minutes is here, Marina, because she was the one that said to me, you need to be having this conversation with more than just you and me, right? We need to all be talking about this, about how it applies to us. So I think using these two books here are really wonderful because we can identify what our strengths are, and I think then find a way to perhaps have a little more confidence in that direction that we're going to choose for ourselves. And then this other book that I love is called Winging It by Emma Isaacs. And the byline is Why Action Beats Planning Every Time. And the reason I like that is because the very last piece of the Yoga Sutra that I just shared with you, it says, and now take appropriate action. And that's what your sadhana is. And what Emma is saying to us in this is that the greatest people that ever created anything, they had to just begin. And nobody feels prepared when they begin. That we're all just winging it whenever we begin, right? So I want this conversation here to be about money and yoga and business and what that translates to into our lives in terms of taking action. So on that note, my friend Steve, I can hear you here, but I can't see you. Can you turn your video on for us?
I had it on there. How's that?
Okay, here we go.
Is this better?
Yes. So
okay.
Steve,
I
we were just
accidentally fell
starting
off the
before
call,
this.
so.
Yeah, well, welcome back.
Okay.
We were just talking beforehand, you know, about how we know each other. And just, I do want to share that little piece of background that I've known you since I was 12 years old. You introduced me to the book, The Celestine Prophecy, when I was 16, which changed my life. And we've definitely had conversations throughout our lives around spirituality, and raising families. You have 3 children. I have 2 children. You have a beautiful wife. You have a beautiful business. You are connected to the horse world, which I used to be a part of, like it was my life.
I'm still
And
gonna
so
get
we
you on a
share.
horse.
we share this amazing past. And what I love about you is how you have had such a huge personal transformation in your own life through recovery through strength training, I know, bodybuilding, through yoga, through meditation. And I know that who you are now is profoundly different from the man that I used to know. And I love you dearly for what you have created in your life. And I want you to just talk, if you would, about what you do with your people to help them be their best,
Yeah.
and what this means to you. Yeah, please.
Well, I mean, thank you for that. I love you. You know that. Um, I'm happy to just be sitting here having the conversation with like-minded people like you. I'm a little emotional with that lead in there, Amy, because sometimes you forget where you come from. You forget all the pain and all the bullshit. So that was kind of took me back there a little bit, the transformation. I get emotional, so give me a second. Sometimes I feel like I don't deserve it, but I guess I do, because I'm sitting here, right? So what I do is, God, it's a whole lot of things. My company is based after my life. My company name is Ride for Life, but it's also my life. It's also not just a fun little gimmicky thing. It's actually a principle that we're gonna ride every step of our life to the best of our ability. And when we get knocked down, not if, we will get back up. And I just kind of base my whole, as you said, recovery around that. I know where my lowest point was. I know where my lowest point was, and I've just always been in competition with myself to never be there again. And I never look back. I don't know how to say it. I mean, people say that you are who you are, and well, I think we are who we think we are, and people forget about that. And I hear that every day. I hear, well, this is just the way I am, or it's the way I've always been. And well, I just don't believe that. I don't take that as a answer for myself. And I've bullshitted myself quite a bit, to the point where I almost lost everything. I almost lost Amy as a friend. But she stuck right there with me, and she always checked in on me, and I always made sure that every time she checked on me, I was just a little bit better than I was yesterday. So God, I can just get to ranting and talking forever about who I am and what I do. But what I do is I just try to get a little bit better every day, and I try to help somebody else every day get just this much better. And we're not looking for the big old, aha moment, but maybe just a little bit. Maybe we can do a little bit more than we think we can. And yeah, I got that feeling in my stomach right now. You guys got me nervous. I love it. I love it.
I think, thanks. I have a question for you. I want you
Yeah.
to, like, one of the conversations that we had recently, because you're teaching people how to not just ride horses, but jumping horses and being in this
Right.
relationship with this amazing animal. And you said, so often people get ahead of their horse, or they're falling behind. Like, it's a real metaphor for life and what
For
you
sure.
do, in terms.
Anxiety and depression.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
yeah, like, talk about, if you would, how, like, okay, because the doTERRA piece is a piece of your life
Ugh.
now. The bodybuilding, like, how have all those things come in to be an integrated piece of what you now, because you grew up in the horse world, and you were a
Right.
skater, you were all
Division
of
I football
those
player. I
pieces,
mean, yeah,
right?
yeah. And well, it's funny because you take a little bit from everybody, right? and you uniquely spin it into your own, as Bruce Lee said. And that was something that really stuck with me. So yeah, the skating, the surfing, the dirt biking, the football, the horses, the discipline that it takes to operate at your highest level, not to beat Amy or not to beat Gigi or Marina, to operate at your highest level. The discipline that takes to really stare yourself in the eye every day and be honest with yourself in the accountability mirror that David Goggins, one of my heroes, calls it, where you look yourself in the eye every day. Was that all you got? And if it wasn't, well, tomorrow's another day. Let's give it another shot. But only you know that. And so that's the fun part of it. That's spinning, everything. I mean, I've got pages and pages here of stuff that I write, and I need to get this out to people. And it's not how you do one thing. It's how you do everything. I mean, if living isn't a martial art, I don't know what is. If just every day-to-day life, when you take it that much accountability and that much responsibility to your life, you then have what? You have the meaning of life right there in your hand when you adopt more responsibility and you really take responsibility, or how I put my oil on today, or how I took my shower, or how you know what I mean? I mean, just that overall every day holding yourself to the fire and saying, I am better than that. I am better than what I just gave there. And I don't think that's ego. I think that's just process. That's just progress, and when you find progress in the process and you're taking full accountability and responsibility, it's life-changing, man. But I think, they say that only 1% of the people can do that, or only 3% of the people beat the addictions that I beat. I don't think that. I think that's bullcrap. I think we're all wired to do what I did, which, I mean, I guess I could talk about it a little bit if you want me to, Amy.
I don't think we need to get into all those details right now, but
Yeah.
I think, like you hit on so much of what I just, mentioned about, like, you do have to have a discipline. You do have to have some fire to stay in this conversation. I think one thing that you and I will often there's this piece around like self-empathy, and like we have to find that line of like challenging ourselves enough, but also being like, I can't do any more right now.
Right.
And knowing that that's okay too, and that's enough, and that is the yoga.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. To know yourself well enough to back off, to reprioritize and execute, because no 2 days are ever the same, and we're always kind of a moving part. We're always evolving with ourselves and how we go. The problem with us is that we get so, I really want it to be like this, and I want it to be like this forever. Sorry, that's just not the way it is. And when we just, as you said, let go, and really learn that everything comes our way for us to learn and grow, well, we just get a lot better, and that's just simple math for me. But it's so hard for people to be. I said to one of my riders the other day, you love this. I said, how would you feel if I laid you on your back on a river and pointed you downstream head first? She said, I couldn't do it. I said, well, that's kind of what you got to do when you come out of the turn. You're not always going to see it, see where you're at on a horse going to a jump. You're going to have to trust your discipline. You're going to have to fall back on that. And you need to, work on just letting go. And letting go is so hard for people. They just need to grasp onto that branch when going by, and you just let go. The stream will take you where it needs to take you,
And that's that thing about having a daily practice, though, is because that daily practice is what then we have as our resource to fall back on, right? Whatever that is for us. Yeah. I love you. We could keep talking forever because I know we do this all the time.
And this is a big part. This little guy here, the in tune.
In tune. That's what I was just using. Yeah, totally.
every day, every day. I mean, it just
Yeah.
helps set me in the right direction. Lastly, I think the biggest thing for somebody, if they're wanting to change, make a 180 in their life, and I think it's to own the morning, Aim. A lot of people, they just don't own their morning, and I meditated on that quite a bit in my last 2 workouts, on how proud of myself I am for owning every morning for the last 5 years. 5 years. Nobody's got my morning. Maybe I'll give them away. I hit the snooze a couple times, and then I'm behind the 8 ball, and I never do that again for like 6 more months, right? And then, I'll just take it easy here. But I mean, it's like, own your morning, grab it, and don't look at your text. Go sweat, go breathe, go figure it out for a minute, and get yourself set in the right direction, because that's where it's at. As soon as you own your morning, you own your life. So I'll stop talking.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I want us to circle back at the end, to have more conversation at the completion of this call on a personal level, because I know that there's just some little ways that we can hold space in the seeds that we will take as a part of this process. So, so let's do that at the end.
Okay.
I wanted to also just introduce Marina, because Marina, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Marina is a beautiful sister, dear friend, woman of my life. I call you truly, one of the most angelic women that I know. And I'm so blessed that our sister Gigi introduced us. And it is because of you that we're having this conversation here today, truly. What's so neat is this relationship that we have with Gigi in the mentor mentee kind of, transmission of this conversation one-to-one. That's really what we've been doing for the last 5 years together, and so we've been having this conversation, and you were the one that just recently said to me, okay, we have to bring it forward. To like, ooh, there's a juice here, because we've been having these conversations, and like you and I are getting each other like all fired up at the end of it, and there are these ideas also that are really coming forward, I know, for both of us in different ways, where there's like this integration way of we're weaving our work together in some ways, but they're becoming more unique in our own ways too. And I wanted you to share a little bit about what the process of you building your business and your life for all that you are as your yoga, like what that has looked like for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful that you're doing this, your business, our business calls, because I think you're very beautiful, inspirational woman and business. And you're always like, let's work it out. Let's do this. Everything is possible. Let's do business. And for me, like all these 5 years, I know you. It's amazing how you inspire me and always like push me, like, let's do this. And always check on me. Like maybe Steve said the same. You never give up on people, what is amazing. And no matter we don't speak like weeks, and after you still like, do you want to speak today? Do you want to speak today? Do you want to? And it's like, oh my gosh, like you never give up on like, and you're always like there. And I loved it about you, and I inspired. I think you're very inspirational, young, beautiful, and strong, willing woman too. So I'm kind of grateful what I have you in my life, because it's helped me a lot, sincerely. And I am from Russia. I'm like 21 years here in America. And actually the most what I like to do, I like to write poetry. But I know you're also a writer, and Steve said he's also writing. And if I can wish, maybe I'll just write my poetry and do nothing else, maybe. But since life, it's not like this, like we just wish this or wish this. We have like certain like sadhana to do, we have dharma to do, we have family, we have play, we have whatever happens, we need to resolve, clean up, and all this karmic, whatever we need to do on this planet. So it's not so easy just to sit and write. And I try to flow. I agree with Steve completely. It's good to flow. And I learned this now. So it's good to flow and do your duty and whatever needs to be done for us, for family, for people around, and do our best too. And I came to America for spiritual reason, kind of. I came to live like an ashram, kind of here. I was dreaming about ashram and being yogi. And I found some yoga class in Russia when I was, I don't know, in university, what was unbelievable in communistic country. And after I was dreaming, I will live with guru in an ashram and just doing my yoga and meditation and all this mystical, what I like to do, and write my poetry. I dream that I will have a husband who will be an artist, and we will live in Europe, and he will maybe in Paris, and we go to the coffee shop, and he will like paint his painting, and I will just write my poetry. This is my dream. But at the same time, I want to do my yoga and ashram too. So I dedicated 18 years for my yoga and ashram. I got 2 teachers, and I was completely like seva oriented and family. And I got my husband who is an artist, and so we can manifest things, you know, or maybe we know about things already from the beginning, you know. And I got my seva, and I was just doing my service and my teacher and devotion and praying and meditation. And after 18 years, I kind of realized what I'm kind of done for some times, and my daughter grew up, and I was like almost 50, and I decided what I want to be, just a woman and be strong and build my own business and stand for my own feet instead serving somebody all the time and doing somebody for something, what was nice too. But I realized now it's time for women to be empowered too and do our work, and we can do a lot, and we example for our daughters too. So I feel responsible for my daughter, so she's seeing how I am like evolving and doing, and I did crazy stuff too, and a lot of things what but it's learning process again in my life. So, and Gigi found me, and I found oils. Gigi found me, and it was like miracle also. What I was looking for oils. Actually, I was looking for oils, and we found each other in yoga retreat. And I didn't think I would do business with doTERRA, but at the same time, I did before one times multi-level business, and I know what it is, and I know it's possible to do money, and kind of it can grow, and it's like people business too. And I love oils. doTERRA, it's such a special company. What is such a humane, and I love our CEO. I think they're one of the best people on the planet too, and such a like a sincere and generous and kind and truthful. And I feel like it's honored to be with these people, because not in this level, not everybody now in this time what we're living in, this kind of level of sincerity and kindness and generosity and transparency. And I love what they're always transparent with what they're doing, what it's very hard to find. So I want to be with them because I think we can help them to distribute these oils and kind of share with people. And I love people too. I don't remember all my strengths, but 4 of them, it's all people, kind of an emotional things like empathy and different things, connection only with people. I don't have any like activator or what is hard for me, or kind of like, but I have one intellectual one, what is helpful a little bit because I can see the whole too, and I can study a lot, what I like, a lot of books. So for me, like mostly struggle. And I started to work also 1 year ago because I decided I want to stand on my own feet and be kind of independent and have my own money and don't depend on my husband and whatever I can depend on, what I was like all my life, teachers, husband. And so I want to be like strong enough and feel secure as possible. I can feel, at least I can know what I can do something, but it gives me like nice feelings, what I can earn my money, I can work hard, I can do. And I decided to cook because I like to cook, and I was thinking I like to do cooking so I can feed people. So I'm working in a restaurant and cooking for now. We're cooking for people who is retired and kind of to help them to feed them with this pandemic time, which is good, but it's still not my business, and I'm not a boss there. And I really want to do my own. I want to do my healing business. I finish also energy healing with my hands, what is good. We finish aroma touch, what is amazing with doTERRA. and I love our oils, and I start to build business, but I always very wavy. I will do, and after I will not do, and I'm kind of introvert, and I will stop, and I a little bit this. So I'm not consistent, what is not good, but Amy is there, what is amazing. And because of her, maybe I'm still kind of doing business. I'm slow, but I really want to grow, just to grow and share.
Yeah, well, and I just want to pause you there because I love you so much, and I think that what you just shared about yourself is the point of this conversation of how you've had this incredibly rich life. And there's all of these things that you've done and paths that you've walked, and you know, I know that the cooking is deeply in you, and being of service and working with your hands, you know, and these things come through, yeah, in the aroma touch and how you are energetically using all of your skills. And that's where I think you and I have been having this conversation now for quite a while about, uh, you know, your skills are in connecting with people. And so, as a business partner of yours in doTERRA, I've loved being able to know that about you, to realize that that is where your greatest superpowers and potentials are. It's not your job to make your doTERRA business or your kitchen and cooking and restaurant and healing arts look like my business and my life, you know, never, ever. And I think that's what this conversation is all about. And it is about creating consistency. It is about having the accountability, like Steve said, because that is what yoga is. Yoga is to move with continuity in your chosen direction, you know, in the in the development of your strength, I would say as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So I let me see here. I wanna come back to that. And I would like to just take the last 10 minutes or so that we are going to have together and do just a little practice. So if you all would like to get your journals now, um, and if you have an oil also, I know we've been using Intune here, but we also just had the New Moon blend, which I have a mantra for this one, which is make music, but it's really like make art. But you know, we can use the oils to bring these things in. So take a deep breath of whatever oil it is you are working with. Maybe roll it on the back of your neck or behind your ears, or maybe in the center of your forehead. Maybe do all of those places. Maybe take a moment too and just feel the back of the shoulders. We did this beautiful exercise where take your middle fingers and just cross them over the front. And so the middle finger rests right in the center of your trapezius muscle there, right at the top, and just apply just a firm pressure, not hard. And just take a few deep breaths before we do this little practice of journaling. Considering, as our Gigi Ma was sharing on the full moon, that this is a wishing moon. And that the Yoga Sutras remind us to remember that it is all perfect right now. Right now, your heart is beating, your whole body systems are all harmoniously integrated and thriving. You're not having to effort around this at all. It's just happening. Maybe let the head lower towards the heart for just a couple more breaths. Feeling the breath just reach into the whole of the back of the body, as well as all the way down into the belly. And when you're ready, just come to your journal. I'm just going to ask you just a couple questions here. So what does your whole being feel and desire right now? And don't get all, you can go as big or as small with this as you want. But let's just feel into our actual bodies and what our belly is feeling, how our hips and our spine. And just noticing if there is anything specific that you are desiring right now. Letting this desire become as big as it wants to be or as small as it wants to be without any judgment. Just noticing what is truly coming forward. Allowing everything to arise as a possibility. Nothing is too far out there. And then as you're sitting here, just notice, do you feel your inherent strength in your foundation? Just notice what your sit bones are connected to right now. Notice as you exhale that the belly draws back in towards the spine, and there's just a little strengthening at the base of the body. With each exhale, the diaphragm's contracting and lifting in and up, pushing the air up and out, simply releasing that which no longer serves you. And then noticing on each inhalation how there is softness and receptivity through the upper lungs and then down into the whole torso, all the way down into the belly. Each inhalation allowed to be received through the softening. Through the allowing. And then just allowing, perhaps, if it's comfortable for you, to bring the hands together just softly and noticing where that inhale from above merges with that exhale from below. And just letting the hands come to acknowledge that place and letting the head lower towards the hands. And just taking a few more long breaths here with this inhale from above and this exhale from below. And just acknowledging your chosen direction. Perhaps you have something clear, but perhaps you do not. That is okay. Allow this place to be filled with the feelings of your desire. Visual details and structures are not necessary here. Allow your desires to be truly acknowledged. At this place where your strength and your softness come together. And then for the purpose of this moment, on this new moon, during this call and this time together about yoga and business, consider what seed are you planting on this moon in your life as your business? What is it that you are occupying and holding space for here at your source and center? What are your unique gifts that will continue to be your chosen direction? So take another moment to finish your writing for now. Of course, please come back and spend more time. And I even very much suggest that you have a journal that you continue to allow what you have created here to continue to be a place that you come back to as a way to remember what this seed is. And then perhaps over this next cycle, notice how it will grow and evolve and change, and notice the opportunities that will come up and the things that will fall away, and allow this process to be alive as a real practice. So these are the last things that I would just say in terms of being successful. Screenshot this if you'd like. I tried not to get too wordy, but I wanted to really make sure you got this, you know? So my teacher would say that there were really only 3 things that you needed to teach someone in yoga. And for me, that has come to mean that there's actually also only 3 things you need to do to really do anything successfully. And that is, number 1, that it comes from your own experience. And that's this first thing about do your practice, right? Have your own practice, whatever your yoga is, make it yours, make it real, but do it. Create time daily to honor your life and your desires in that way. I do believe that there is something about this inhale that is the soft receptivity, and the exhale that just is the strength, and to really feel that alive without any effort. It's just the reality of who we are. And to actually do this, you know, consider the Yoga Sutras, consider that idea of to have some fire, to be aware of yourself, know what's up when you're maybe spinning out, maybe when you're, you know, super low. Have some empathy. Don't be all judgmental, but take the action that you can. And in that way, be your own best friend and cheerleader, right? No one else is going to know you or believe in you the way that you can. And I really believe that we do have to be our own best friend and cheerleader in a really big way, because we can be lucky and then we can have, number two, a good teacher and a good community. And that is important too, right? Because we're not always going to be able to pick ourselves up. So that is when having good friends, sincere friends, it is vital. So I really believe it doesn't have to be a lot of people, right? Just a couple good friends is all it really takes in life to be successful. Truly, there's a great movie on PBS. It's a three-part series called This Emotional Life. Please watch it. Maybe I'll put that out later. But that was true. It was about 5 people was like the key to real happiness, you know? And what more is success probably than that level of contentment, right? So surround yourself by people and ideas that inspire you. Practice being coachable, accountable, and vulnerable. It's a big deal to show up with a mentor or a community of sincere friends and be able to talk openly and call each other out and and be called out, and it's really important that we can do that. And then the third thing is simply to care about others, cultivate empathy, respond in service, be a real friend, abandon hierarchy, please. And remember that the act of giving allows you to receive, and of course, vice versa. So know when to ask for help and know when to lend a hand. And on that note, I'll leave you with this quote that I love. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Fear of the unknown is our greatest fear. Many of us would enter a tiger's lair before we would enter a dark cave. While caution is a useful instinct, we may lose many opportunities and much of the adventure of life if we fail to support the curious explorer within us. Joseph Campbell. So I hope that you'll be curious about yourself to know and actualize all of these latent gifts and these strengths and all these potentials that you have to really create your life and your business so that you can be of service, and that everyone also can receive all of your creative genius and love that you have to offer, because I really believe that we all need all of you so much, men, women, every single human being, old, young, we all need everyone to show up. So thank you all for being here. That's my info. If I can be of any support, I love to get to know people and figure out how I can be of most service in helping you bring yoga and business together in your own way. So happy new moon blessings. Thank you so much for being here.
Beautiful, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you, friends.